evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I'm Star Smart. Let's begin. Today, a nation awakens to a storm of claims, counterclaims, and tremors from the political underworld. From the high walls of Kondegi to the silent villages of the southern Cameroon's voices, long suppressed, are now rising in La République. And we wonder, is La République's coronation already collapsing under its own contradictions? An opposition leader has proclaimed victory even as the legal institutions remain silent. A ruling party lashes back, calling it a farce and threatening retribution. Meanwhile, in the war-torn zones, the everyday struggle for survival continues in defiance of ballot boxes and political theater. In the shifting landscape, four burning questions dominate the air. Who truly holds the mandate of the French Cameroon people when official voices remain mute? Is the regime's outrage a sign of strength or of fear? And can chance of change break through the siege of repression? Above all, in a land long fractured by occupation, whose victory is this really? As the day unfolds, Ambazonia watches, knowing that whatever drama plays out in Yaoundé, its impact will ripple through every community, every checkpoint, every cell, and every heart. With this, we welcome you to tonight's Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. Before we get into the full briefings of Undaunted tonight, let's take a quick look at the prime headlines. On Undaunted tonight, we see Ambazonia emerges from the 2-week lockdown amid post-election tensions. We see detained Ambazonian activist hails awakening in La République as supports mount for Issa Tchiroma. We see Tchiroma's victory recognized amid the CPDM's outrage and claims of political imposture. And on the African scene, Madagascar in turmoil. Why? The president flees amid growing protests and military defections. And on the news across the globe, Israel halves Gaza aid over delayed return of hostage bodies, testing fragile ceasefire. Still on the global scene, World Health Organization warns of contaminated cough syrup in India after multiple child deaths. With that, we head into the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. Just stay tuned. Residents across Ambazonia territories cautiously resumed normal activities today after the 2-week lockdown imposed by the presidency of Dr. Samuel Sako. The lockdown, which began on October 2nd, was aimed at disrupting participation in the October 12th elections and halting the reopening of schools in the Ambazonian actions deemed legitimate by the Ambazonian leadership. Well, we'll see throughout the lockdown period, economic activities came to a halt, local businesses were forced to shut down, and access to essential services was significantly limited, but forewarned ahead of time. Despite this, many residents had reportedly made adequate preparations ahead because they indeed were forewarned ahead of time of the restrictions, mitigating the impact on daily life. Now that the lockdown has officially ended, life is slowly returning to normal. Shops have reopened, transportation is resuming, and communities are cautiously navigating the transition back to routine activities. However, tensions remain high across the nation as political uncertainty continues to shadow everyday life. The lockdown marked yet another chapter in the long-standing struggle of former British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, who continue to demand greater autonomy and recognition of their rights. Their leadership has remained firm in rejecting colonial electoral processes administered by the colonial government of Yaoundé, deepening the divide between the two nations. Well, as French Cameroon prepares to release results from the controversial October 12 vote, Ambazonians are watching closely, wary of what the future may hold. Well, in a related development, we see the president of Ambazonia scheduled to address the nation on Thursday, October 16 at 8 p.m. Amba time. The address is expected to touch on the recent lockdown, the ongoing political situation, and the path forward for the movement. Well, let's take a listen to this audio announcement from the Ambazonian State Army spokesperson with regards to the end of the lockdown today.
Good day, good day, good day, fellow Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians. Today, na Tuesday, October the 14th, 2025. I come out this morning. I've been Ambazonia State Army National Spokesperson. I come live this morning. I go send special 21% salute for all our brave Ambazonian State Armies as they defend Ambazonia on daily basis from the hands of these Babylonians, these criminals, will be led by Paul Biya, Hitler, Bill Vondo, Bartholomew, the terrorists sponsored by France, the United Kingdoms, and some other criminal Western nations. Fellow Ambazonians, I come for send special congratulations for all our brave civilians where they join Ambazonian State Armies for this lockdown where will be announced by the federal government, where we don't generally send message for international community. Say Saudi Cameroon, Ambazonia, it being a separate state from French Cameroon. Fellow Ambazonians, I come for officially announce, say our lockdown it end today, Tuesday, the 14th of October. 2025. From tomorrow, the 15th of October, make all Ambazonian businessmen, Okada riders, when I carry on when I normal daily activities, that go say say be one, say the war it is still continue. Our brave Ambazonian state armies who going to carry strategic attack against French Cameroon military, the administrators, and all those enablers inside Ambazonians. Make when I be at alert because the war it is still continue until the born state it go sit and negotiate. Then justice and peace it go reign inside Ambazonia. We don't see our French Cameroon they jubilate, said them don't vote Issa Tchiroma as their president. Well, we know the normal modus operandi for the République du Cameroon and France. We know say France normal ever Sunday give French Cameroon full independence. But when I take special note, now why that Mandre Arimbida will be killed by Charles de Gaulle when a former president for France, then the hand power for Ahijo, they later on take power for Ahijo, Hanam for Paul Biya, Bill Vondo, Bartholomew. So, Paul Biya, Bill Vondo, Bartholomew, it be climb for power, now true appointment. And when I know say French Cameroon and the CPDM cabals, they don't care about their citizens. For 1954, when Saudi Cameroon, it then a British United Nations Trust territory, we be get democratic elected process where we get EML in Delhi, like our first prime minister. We can get Jongo Foncha, then we can get Augustine Momjoa, where we will practice pure democracy in the southern Cameroons and Ambazonia, where power will change hands without any bloodshed. So we all know, say France will do all possible best for keep Pobia in power because of the interest for the resources for French Cameroon, where they don't infiltrate and they don't colonize Southern Cameroons, and they suck our resources for feed their families and for feed French citizens. But gone are those days. Gone are those days. For 2017, when our former president Seseko Ayoktabe, where they prison today, if we declare our independence, Southern Cameroons now a separate state from French Cameroon. So we don't get nothing for do with French Cameroon elections. For those Ambazonians, those so-called Anglo fools, why they say that they jubilate with French Cameroon, they don't forget the killing of Baby Mata. They don't forget the behead where they caught Samsoya head for Boyo. They don't forget the Ekona massacre. They don't forget the Pinyin massacre. They don't forget the Ngabu massacre. They don't forget the massacre for Bali. They don't forget the massacre for all over Ambazonia, where the same Betty Bulu, CPDM francophone machinery sponsored by France, where they kill Ambazonians. We they tell Una Ambazonians, say nothing. It go take arms, guns for hand, unless Ambazonia it go get fully recognition for independence as it be then voted on the 21st of April 1961 for take effect on the 1st of October 1961. So no matter who take over presidency for French Cameroon, they must come to the negotiating table for negotiate with the government in exile of Ambazonia, will be led by Dr. Samuel Sako Ekome. As we go for Fuman, like a government for negotiate with the government of Ahijo of French Cameroon. Now so we go negotiate for this 21st century with third party mediators. Nothing it go change that. So for any Ambazonians, for they go out there, for the claims they be part of French Cameroon for their so-called elections, the result of the lockdown, it don't send message said there were no election in Ambazonia. The differences are clear. So I can for tell Ambazonians, make una continue for respect our Monday lockdown, where it stands for the symbol for our liberation struggle. Now only negotiation between the both states it will bring final end to this war and peace go reign in Ambazonia. Where we go control our resources, we build our schools, we build our roads, we build our healthcare, we develop ourselves, and all Ambazonians they go get the right for enjoy our resources where God a give we without the influence and without discriminate them where they don't take our resources for good 63 years today. So Ambazonians may not be carried by those barbaric criminal monsters of Yaoundé and France. So I tell Ambazonians today, say the war it go still continue. We go still the ambush. We go still the build our defense strategy. We go still use our guerrilla tactic of fighting. We're gonna be on high alert because the days ahead it go be deadly. We gonna respect our Monday ghost town. We go fight until one La République enemy is Ambazonia, they go leave Ambazonia. If they fail to live in peace, they go live by force. For that one, I guarantee una. Make una stay strong, una stay safe. Our national lockdown, it end today, the 14th of October 2025. Make una take care, una be at alert. Short live the struggle. May God bless Ambazonians.
And that was the announcement on the end of the lockdown, reminding Ambazonians why this fight continues and why they should not relent until the sacrifices of the loved ones that Ambazonians have lost pays its way to Ambazonia's sovereignty. We have in the studio with us distinguished guests, Barrister Mbeseha and Barrister Fru. It is a pleasure as always to have you gentlemen on the show tonight.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Barrister Mbeseha.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so we heard the audio from the spokesperson of the Ambazonian State Army, and he reiterated some ordeals that has happened in the course of the struggle. I'm looking at the fact that Ambazonians had the lockdown and it has finally come to an end. Listening to the spokesperson also reiterate all these events that has happened in the course of this struggle for liberation, what would you like to see that is based on what is happening right now, Ambazonians returning to their normal life and having to endure paying that price for this 2 weeks lockdown just to send a message, not just to La République, but to the entire globe. Barrister Fru, let's start with you today. What do you have to say with regards to that?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting us for this Tuesday news cap. Let me start by congratulating our people of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, who have braved it from the 2nd to the 14th, today being the 14th, and I thank General Gabonese for announcing the end of that lockdown. The lockdown was very, very successful, but as we say, there are always criminals. Some criminals stepped out and voted. But in general, Ambazonians boycotted this election, and it was a no event on the territory. So we are very, very happy. We are delighted, and we are not begging La République to come to the negotiating table. Whoever becomes La République president knows that until he comes to the negotiating table, we are not bending. We are not bending. We are determined. So whatever happens in La République, we all know, we have observed that Tchiroma has won the election. But that is not our take. If Mr. Biya decides to do what he does all the time, that he loses election, that will be the cup of tea of La République, the Cameroon citizens. But the public of La République has spoken, and spoken very, 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 very highly. I'm telling you that the fraud machine, I don't know how strong it is to withstand the overwhelming results produced by Tchiroma, but that is not our cup of tea. Whoever is leading there will be called to come to the table. We know that if it's Paul Biya, he will never come to the table. We have known that. For many years, beginning with the Swiss-led process, he stayed for 2 years and abandoned the process. So we are not expecting anything from him. Whether he frauds the election, he turns the table like he usually does and become the president of Cameroon is not our take. But we are ready. We are ready to fight La République of Cameroon anywhere in our territory. In fact, this is the time for us to increase firepower, and we are waiting for them. The Ambazonian State Army has done a very, very good job during this time of the so-called elections by ensuring that nobody goes out. Again, there are always criminals who will go through the loophole and go and vote, but they are known. They are enemies of our state. But let's not dwell on that. The point I'm making is that we have spoken and spoken with a loud voice to the international community that La République elections are not our business, and they didn't take place on our territory. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister Fru. Barrister Mbeseha, I would like to give the ball over to you right now. The ball is in your court. Tell us what you think about the happenings, the events following the election period, the colonial elections, and after. Looking at, we're going to get deeper into what is happening post-elections, but Ambazonians' reactions and this message from Gabonese, the spokesperson for the ASA, would like to get a quick reaction from you before we get deeper into the post-election outcomes.
What Gabonese has said is important, but it's also important for us in general to acknowledge to the population that the lockdown was painful. People hesitated because it's painful to sit at home, but it was necessary because it was strategically important for us to do that. No matter the pain, It has all come to assure us that, like they say in the Pidgin English, only the patient dog eats the fattest bone. Why? Because the 2 weeks lockdown, sometimes it was even longer as proclaimed by others. But just take our 2 weeks. It was focused essentially on the elections. And the elections are over. So people have to go back to their normal activities. But have we achieved what we wanted to do? Of course. What was it that concerns us in the elections? Essentially, I've said it before. Right now, our interest is what is happening in our neighbor's house. Our interest is to know who is coming to meet us on a negotiation table. And so it was meant to address a message to whoever becomes the president of Cameroon after the election. Whoever was meant to put him on the notice, he or she on the notice that Ambazonians are waiting for you. They are there waiting for you. And one of the reasons, for example, which we have not explained properly, why we say we were not taking part in the elections. Since we are waiting for them on the negotiation table, the leader will choose whoever they want to come to. It is not our responsibility to choose leaders for them to negotiate with us, as they try to choose leaders for Ambazonians to negotiate with them. No, their choice is theirs. And so whoever is coming up, they've been put on the notice, we're waiting for him or for her on the table. We don't have a hand, we don't have a right to choose their own leaders. They're choosing whoever they like, whether it is even Paul Biya, it is Tchiroma, or whoever. We put them on the notice, we are waiting for you. And let not Ambazonian be despaired, because almost every Ambazonian, I think, can tell the story of this 8-9 years war. You have suffered some pain somehow. They've killed your brother, they've killed your sister, they've destroyed your home, they've adopted your brother or your sister or your cousin. Something unusual has happened to every single Ambazonian. But we're happy to announce that during these 2 weeks, the pain was just physical. Many Ambazonians did not die because of the lockdown. So if you persevere, you survive. It is behind us. Let us move on. Support the government, support the effort that we are doing. And as I've said before, the patient dog is the fattest bone. We shall succeed. We shall deal with whoever is coming in to succeed Paul Biya, or whoever is the Paul Biya being regenerated to succeed himself. We shall be able to deal with him or with her. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Barrister Mbeseha. Now, looking at the post-election atmosphere within our République, we see that even from the cells of Kondegi Central Prison in Yaoundé, detained Ambazonian activist Abdul Karim Ali has issued a stirring message describing the ongoing political developments in La République du Cameroun as a victory for democracy and a testament to the people's awakening. Now, in a letter titled "A Victory for Democracy, Congratulations to the People of Cameroon," Abdul Karim extended what he called solidarity across the colonial divide, praising ordinary citizens of La République for what he described as their courage to challenge an aging system. The oppressed class of La République du Cameroun has shown a deep understanding of liberal democracy by protecting their choices and votes throughout the electoral process, he wrote. Abdul Karim, one of the most outspoken voices for Ambazonia's right to self-determination, also applauded civil society leaders and online activists such as Rebecca and Anon Chong, Mimi Mefonzo Manto, Boris Beltot, and Umfo Hansen for their advocacy and vigilance during the disputed polls. It says their efforts have demonstrated the power of democracy and earned the people an incalculable debt of gratitude, he noted, describing the development as a divine victory that should remind every oppressed nation that power truly begins and belongs to the people. Calling for continued resistance to tyranny, Abdul Karim added, "People's power, like wind and water, is unstoppable. Stay resolute and finish the fight. You have won the main battle. Now finish the war." His statement comes amid growing support for Issa Tchiroma Bakari, who on Tuesday claimed victory and called on incumbent Paul Biya to concede. While celebrating Celebrations continue amongst Tchiroma supporters. ELICAM, the election management body of La République, has yet to declare official results, and the ruling CPDM has not issued a formal response, an indication many say of the crumbling colonial system Ambazonia has long warned the world about. Now, Barrister Mbeseha, we're seeing this message from Abdul Karim. It's not the first letter he's writing with happenings in southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon. This letter, is there anything particularly that strikes you from Abdul Karim's letter from Kondegi?
There's not much of a surprise, but I can say Abdul Karim, like other Ambazonians in jail, notably Ayok Sisitaku and the rest, particularly in Kondegi, they are Ambazonians. They are now writing from the jail of La République du Cameroon. They are not there alone. They are writing with pure experience, practical experience from a jail that they have shared with some of the political prisoners of La République du Cameroon. They talk about freedom, but if there are 10,000 or 8,000 or 1,000 people in Kondegi, the political prisoners of La République by themselves are more than 80%. And so it is a reminder what a dictatorship is all about. It is a reminder of what the Abdul Karims and other Ambazonians stand against, what they have been fighting for, what took them to that jail or to those jails. The idea that people should be free to do what they can do. People should be free to think. People should be free to choose, to make their political options. And that is exactly why, for example, the Abdul Karims, the CCCs, the Mfongalam Force are in jail. What do they do in Nigeria to merit being jailed in Kondegi in Yaoundé? Pure autocracy, pure dictatorship. That's not place in the modern world. Why is it that we're asking for this? That we are gone and never to return? Dictatorship beyond expectation. Who would have told Ndele, Foncha, the monarchs of the yesteryears, that what they were campaigning for in 1961 was going to imprison themselves? They want to go to jail where they could not speak, where they could not voice an opinion of their own. They could not have believed it. And so the Abdul Karims are emphasizing this note, which goes down in summary to explain to the world why we have said no, no, no. The Ndeles and our forefathers could not have believed that we'll pay this price of our children being killed, of our homes being burnt, of everything that we have suffered. For doing what? Just for having a contrary opinion. 2016 was not throwing stones. It was just a discussion by sitting on the table. Change the form of state, a pure discussion, a debate. And because you don't support the idea from your opponent, they bring terror on you, they kill your children, they burn your homes. That is not what we sign up to. We give congratulations to the Abdul Karims, who, in spite of the danger in which they are, they still pluck the courage to tell them what is right. And so, thank Abdul Karim, thank any other Ambazonian who is still there for standing up. Their eyes are opening. And to re-emphasize again why we are living. Those who were there in 2018 with Maurice Kamto and thought that we could support his bid on the ground that if he went out, he too would cause them to come out if there was to be anything democracy. They did all that. They wrote letters of support. And what happened? 7 years, they are still there. Maurice Kamto regained his freedom thanks to the intervention of France. And they are still serving a term for which they are not supposed even to be detained for anything. Again, their eyes are open. Most particularly, Abdul Karim, we thank you for saying what you have said. We think your eyes will remain opening forever. Suffering, just like I've said the past 2 weeks of lockdown, did not kill us who persevered. 5, 3, 6, 7 years already in jail will not kill you. Keep to your spirit. We shall prevail. Tomorrow, those of you in jail shall become heroes. at least your name should be engraved somewhere on the platform of liberation. And so we can wish you the best. We can say thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for still voicing out your opinion. Over to you.
Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Fru, just briefly about Issa Tchiroma's letter regards to the result of not the results exactly, but the post atmosphere of the La République election. His letter right there. Do you have any words or any parts particularly about it that struck you briefly?
I'm going to be talking differently on the letter of Abdul Karim. Sometimes I wonder whether some of our brothers, Ambazonians who are in that jail, are really freedom fighters. A freedom fighter fighting the enemy would not write such a letter congratulating the system that has put him in jail. If I were him, I would keep me quiet. I would just watch and I would say nothing. Because he's a freedom fighter. He is fighting for his freedom, freedom for himself, freedom for his people. And yet he writes such a very nice letter for the consumption of the citizens of La République Cameroon. Fine and good. I would not subscribe to it. If I were advising him, or if I were also in jail, I would not say one word until I'm free from the enemy camp. Freedom. Look, it's like Mandela sat in the South African prison for more than 29 years and congratulated the system in South Africa for an election that has taken place to replace Teta Buta or whatever they call him. It doesn't make sense. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. But I will not write such a letter. Thank you very much.
That the 2025 presidential election in La République du Cameroon, it has taken a dramatic turn as the National Union for Democracy and Progress, the UNDP of La République, officially recognized the victory of the Cameroon's National Salvation Front, the FSNC, that is led by Issa Tchiroma Bakari, even before the Constitutional Council released official results. Now, in a statement released today, the UNDP described the October 12th polls as a peaceful electoral process and extended warm and sincere congratulations to Issa Tchiroma, calling him a deserving winner. Party leader Bello Buba Maigari said the decision was informed by field reports gathered from the party's representatives nationwide, affirming confidence in the figures collected. He pledged to work alongside the FSNC for the building of a united and prosperous Cameroon. The UNDP statement also reaffirmed its commitment to promoting inclusive governance and respect for Republican institutions. However, the declarations has sparked an uproar within the ruling Cameroon's People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM, whose communication secretary, Professor Jacques Fame Ndongo, condemned what he called a grotesque farce and shameful political hoax. A candidate in the presidential election of October 12th has illegally assumed the powers of the Constitutional Council by arrogantly declaring himself president of the Republic with fabricated figures, Fame Ndogo said in a statement. Such imposture is an unacceptable forgery in a state governed by law. He accused Tchiroma's camp of producing prefabricated results in collaborations with a secret cabinet and blamed certain foreign media for relaying false information without verification. The CPDM further insisted that only the Constitutional Council, under Article 40 of the law governing its functions, is legally mandated to proclaim final elections results. The statement concluded that the ruling party would not yield to provocation or political traps, urging calm as the process proceeds normally and legally. The sharp exchange between both parties mark a deepening rift in the French Cameroon's political establishment, reflecting what analysts described as a power struggle between the old guard of the Biya regime and a new populist wave embodied by Tchiroma's FSNC. Now, to get to you, Barrister Mbeseha, we're going to take a look at something interesting here. The fact that this statement from the CPDM says the electoral process will continue as per usual. And what the entire Cameroons know to be the usual pattern of elections in the Cameroons is nothing void of corruption. With regards to that and these entire chaos going around the post-election period, what do you have to say with regards to these particular issues?
I think that the Famendungos and the CPDM, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, are just too old to understand what it is about politics. In presidential elections, parties sponsor candidates. Candidates are the ones that are being voted for, not the party. We have not heard from Paul here about the elections. He's a candidate sponsored by a party, not the party sponsored by the candidate. And so all this is nonsense. All the Famendungo or Young Queta and whoever they are talking there, they just don't want to understand how politics in the modern world runs. We've talked about Issa Tchiroma. We're hearing the name of Issa Tchiroma. We see him talking. He was sponsored by a party. But even as he runs through the race, he is no longer running on the platform of that party. He's running on the platform of the Union for Change. So it is important to listen to individuals. The Famendungos and the Young Quetas, the laws of Cameroon are not their private property. Everybody can read those laws, even though they were truncated from the presidency. But once they are laws, they become public. Anybody can read them. They are published officially in the gazettes. You can buy the gazette. You can buy the newspaper. You can even go to the assembly and get a hard copy of that law. So the laws of Cameroon, like all laws of our country, are not going to be interpreted based on the whims of and caprices of the CPDM alone. What he is saying is just legally not founded. By their own law, Article 113 of the Electoral Code states that the results are published at the polling stations, read loudly and written out in public in every single polling station. In the case of Cameroon, you see them in classrooms, they're put on the notice board. Nobody can read it. So it is possible for you to take the result published on the notice board in Quen, add the result published in the notice board of Yaoundé 203 and the one of Garawa, and say this was 10 here, this was 20 here, this is 5 here, that makes me 45. That's simple mathematics. That is legal. Issa Tchiroma, if he claims anything, he has not declared himself officially the winner. The declaration, just a declaration, is not anything. Just a declaration, which is a confirmation of what comes from the polls, is what is supposed to be done by the Constitutional Council. And so when these gentlemen, so old as they are, we say, well, the country is, what they are doing is unconstitutional, they are just lying. They either don't just know, or they know, and they want to deceive the people. We're waiting for their constitutional experts to challenge this simple aspect of the law, which says that this thing should be published on the public notice board, anywhere where the elections took place in Cameroon. They have not contested that. Whereas in that law, is it found out somebody cannot take the notice board information from Kambe, add it to the ones in Bafang, add it to the one in Gurumakom, and then come out with an answer. What law prevents that? No law prevents that. These people are too old. They don't even understand what is going on, I guess. They don't know where they are. They are in 2025. They don't understand the power of modern media. They don't even understand the power of a simple Android phone. If you give that Android phone, it's a computer. We find prints, we find A, B, put there. They cannot even read that thing until they wear fortified eyeglasses. So they have no idea about what they are talking about. And so, again, as we've said all the time, we watch over what's happening with our neighbors' household. But if our commentators can help them, we are free. This is free knowledge to be educated. You and me are abroad in the United States. We are looking at the same figures that Fame Ndongo is looking. It's not challenging the figure. He's saying that Tchiroma has fabricated, prefabricated. What's he talking about? It means that Issa Tchiroma went to the classrooms in different polling stations and then put his own figures? But what does it mean by prefabricated results? He doesn't even understand it. Because in all elections, especially in the United States, when you pull 50-60% of the voters and you make a roundabout of what it is, you can predict what the final outcome will be. It is projected by computer. This AI that we have has also a lot of intelligence. And so these people don't know what they're talking about. In the United States where we live, for example, if you go to vote, you find at the polling stations, there are journalists there. They sample people. You come out, men and women alike, what party did you vote? Or which candidate did you vote? You say the candidate you voted. They interview about 200 people who voted in that polling station. They can come out and project the results, and they are often almost always correct. So these people don't understand modern technology, but they are caught up in their own trap. They are caught up in their own ignorance. I don't know what the youth of the CPDM, if there are, who are educated, are saying about this. Again, this knowledge money is not a money that is still that you and me don't have. This knowledge acquired sometimes with your own personal, just $20, you can download that information and get it. So poor Fame Ndongo, their constitutional council is still there. Their role is to proclaim, not to count. They simply proclaim what has come out from the polling stations. And unless they are the only ones with eyes, you, Fame Ndongo, you can read what came out of Bastos, sitting in your house. You can read what came out of a source, just in your own day. Or Simalen, or John Melen, or Obili. You can read those things, Mr. Fame Ndongo. So we don't need your excuse. People don't need your interpretations. I guess all the Cameroonians, especially the supporters of Issa Tchiroma, know this game. I guess Mr. Fame Ndongo can believe in Bula Bello Magare, who has congratulated Issa Tchiroma. Bula Bello was in the race with his name written there. He acknowledges his opponent won. And other candidates that have done same. And so I think this man is out of touch. I think this man is actually living in a dream world. Or what do you?
Barrister team, based on what you just talked about, AI and other important tools that get to show the votes and the prospect of the turnout of the elections. There's something interesting that happened only a few days before the election. Before we get to you, Barrister Fru, let's quickly take a look at this. I hope this can come up on screen now. This is a post that was made by CRTV, La République's propaganda TV, Cameroon TV, and it showed this only briefly on their social media accounts, but then only a few minutes after that, for some reason, probably accidentally posted, it was deleted, never to be shown again. But then from this chart here, we already see that the polls has Issa Tchiroma to be the highest on that poll, but it was quickly deleted. So adding to what Barrister Mbeseha has just said now, this could be something to back that up. But then we see that with all of this going on, Bula Bello actually made a remark to the chaos going on right now with the post-election tensions. Let's take a look at this video from Bula Bello.
Buba Maigari cashed in 1 billion CFA. So for those like Abubakar Usman May and others who have been fighting very hard, doing everything, working behind the scenes and dreaming that Bello Buba Maigari could at some point accept to get into a coalition with Issa Tchiroma Bakari you can well forget about that. Bello Buba Maigari is already on the other side. Because in addition to the 1 billion CFA francs, Bello Buba Maigari has been assured a return into the government. Oh yes, Bello Buba Maigari has been assured a return into the government, which will be formed by Ngongo and Chantal Biya. That's what it is. So those who are out there hoping, praying that at the last minute they could see this picture finally go up and be real and be, something that is approved by the two candidates, you can throw this one to the dustbin. Bello Buba Maigari has collected his 1 billion CFA francs. Bello Buba Maigari is no longer on the same page or on the same page with anyone who has been clamoring that you are expecting change and all of those things. For Bello Buba Maigari, on ne change pas le changement. So Bello Buba Maigari is out of the game. You can go very well to forget about it. When I saw this, when I received this paperwork, I felt so sad and I felt so bad for my brother, Barrister Akeremuna. Barrister Akeremuna, you see exactly what I've been telling you. I've told Barrister Akeremuna over and over and over on this platform, brother, put the knowledge you know, put the knowledge you have, put your clout, the international clout you have, at the service of your people of the Southern Cameroons. Posterity will never forget you. You decide to continue gambling with the people who don't have integrity. You were there fighting, or you want that they should show transparency around the money for petroleum that has been stolen, and they have said that you have done all kinds of things to bring that government to account. You have hurt yourself this way, and you go and put your trust in the hands of a gambler. Yeah. You endorse Bello Buba Maigari. You still have 48 hours to process this and stand on the right side of history. You still have 48 hours to process this information and sharing with you freely. Bello Buba Maigari is not in the business of change. Bello Buba Maigari has already received his change in his bank account. And Bello Buba Maigari is warming up to go back into the government. And now I also received, by the same token, this piece of information. There was so much pressure for this money to be paid and to make sure that the money is not only wired, that it gets into the people's accounts the fastest possible, and let people have confirmation that the money is deposited into their accounts. Because when Gongo looks ahead, there is too much panic. He doesn't discount anything. The situation is even compounded by the fact that right now, as of the information I received, the government of President Paul Biya, the current one, is divided into two. That there is a huge faction of that government that is quietly supporting the candidature of Issa Tchiroma Bakari. And that, as I can see, as you can see, what does Issa Tchiroma Bakari get all the money to do what he's doing? That a good lot of members of government sitting now are financing the campaigns of Issa Tchiroma Bakari and supporting him behind the scenes. Why? Because a lot of them say they don't know Ferdinand Gongo's endgame. Most of them are not even sure that they will be maintained in government. They are no longer sure of their political future because now they know.
Now, we heard him at the earlier part of that video. That was John Mba Akuro talking of Buba Bello. And we heard him at the start of that video where he talked about some of these candidates being paid in billions to fight against the Issa Tchiroma's campaign, basically. But then Cabra Libri, news we have has it that Cabra Libri has debunked the news of circulating that him and other candidates collected billions not to rally behind Tchiroma. So that is also in the news, but then we don't know which of the news on air to exactly believe, which of it is true and which of it is factual. Based on your years of experience, knowing what La République's political structure really is, I would like to get your thoughts, Barrister Fru, and then we'll come to you, Barrister Mbeseha. But Barrister Fru, clear us out on what exactly is happening in La République with these candidates and with these political big figures.
Star, before I answer that question, let me clarify something. That Article 113 of the Electoral Code is one of the most important articles of that Electoral Code, and it gives the actual where the real results of any election come from the polling stations directly, and they are proclaimed publicly. It becomes public knowledge. Issa Tchiroma has tabulated his electoral victory, and the whole all the electorate, all the results have been tabulated by him, and has sent that around the world. I was appointed by the SDF in '92 to the counting commission of the division of Buri in Douala, and I know how the system works. Those sheets that were signed by every representative of the political party contesting that election in the polling stations, they circulate from there to the subdivisional office, from the subdivisional office to the counting commission in the division, from the counting commission to the division, it goes straight to the National Counting Commission. That was what happened in '92. And I can tell you, we followed our procès verbal, what they call procès verbal, the sheets, the counting sheets, as they came from the polling stations. That is the most accurate figures, of any election. The role of all this, why it's going through all this, is only to be sure that the computation is correct. The re-elections were known at the polling station, and they should not have taken even up to 24 hours to produce them and publish and know who the winner is. Look, Famindongo and the CPDM, they are panicking. They don't know what to do, because I'm telling you, to fraud this election will be difficult for them. Let me tell you why. The overwhelming victory of Issa Tchiroma is such that to be able to fraud this election and get a figure in favor of Bia, who is not even the second. If you look at the tabulation, Paul Bia is not even the second on the list. The second on the list is between Cabral Libi and Bello, and both of them have congratulated Issa Tchiroma. If you look on, I have seen a communique from Cabral Libi. I've seen a communique from Issa Tchiroma. I've seen a communique from one Galaxin, the man of Pearl. Those they have congratulated Issa Tchiroma for his victory. This CPDM cabal, Famindongo doesn't know where to run to. The forest is there. Let him run and enter the forest. Because all that rubbish that is talking about fabrication of results, how do you fabricate the results that come directly from the voters and is tabulated on the board? Look, the way the election, the way Issa Tchiroma and his team arrange this election, they all have telephones all over the world. The technology has changed. AI is present. But Mbeseha just informed us. AI is there. The network, everybody around the world knows the results of the elections in Cameroon. But because of the fraud mechanism that the regime has instituted, it will take 2 weeks to know a simple election that was cast on in the polling stations. It's unheard of. The whole world is watching. The world cannot wait for you for 2 weeks to know who is the president of Cameroon. And in those 2 weeks, what will you be doing? Mr. Bia, like Mbeseha just said, has not said one word. Neither Ferdinand Gongo has not said one word because they have lost. They know they have lost. And Famindongo is such, it's like a Tanganji. Those are the lions that are fighting Cameroonians. I mean Cameroonians. It doesn't include us on the national scene, on the international scene. Look at Tanganji putting fire everywhere, sending troops to go and arrest a man who has been elected president of the republic in Garwa. I mean, what does he want? War? If it's war, we Ambazonians were observers. We would like to see La République fight. They have been killing us. They have killed us for the last 9 years. We've lost our citizens. Hey, if they want to fight, let them fight too. But we know who the winner of the election is. It's Issa Tchiroma, and overwhelmingly. I have the results here. It's a whole booklet. How can Famin Dongo, a whole professor, they call him, and the minister of higher education in charge of universities, how can he be that stupid? How can he be that stupid? I can say that he's just he is like the French say, he doesn't know what to do with himself. He doesn't know what is going to happen to him in the next minute. But the results are well known. I told you I was in the counting commission in Douala, in the Buri division. That's the whole of Douala. And I know how it works. The counting commission does nothing but look at the tabulation, count, make sure that the additions are correct. And that's it. And they send it ahead. But the results have been known in the polling stations. Article 113 of the Electoral Code. That is the most accurate figures of any election in the polls, and it's published publicly, and with the internet and all the network that you see, all of those tableaus have gone viral around the world. How can Professor Famin Dongo sit somewhere in the Bolova, we don't know from which bush he's talking from, and say that somebody has fabricated the results? Look at him. He's sweating. We are only observers. We are not interested in the election. But we are interested in what happens to our neighbors anyway. But we are interested in what happens to our enemy. We want to know what they're doing. And we know this result. We know that Issa Tchiroma has won. That is why, in real fact, we are not expecting anybody from the BR regime to come to the table. We are expecting Issa Tchiroma. Thank you.
Thank you to Barrister Fru. Thank you to Barrister Fru. We've heard Issa Tchiroma speak before, and we've heard what he plans to bring to the table. It is more of a dialogue from what he talks about. Somebody who can understand the Ambazonian struggle is a better start and has more hope for Ambazonians to meet at the table. But then, Barrister Mbeseha, I know you have a lot to say with regards to the chaos going on, especially something that Barrister Fru mentioned. He talked about the Atanga Eji threatening to arrest Issa Tchiroma. So on that note, we'd like to get your thoughts about that and any other concerns with regards to the post-election tensions before we let you go.
But, news. Next few hours, it ceases to be news. Overtake events.
It's cutting off.
Sadly, we don't have Barrister Mbeseha connected.
It's not working.
Okay, well,
give me a second. Give me a second.
I would like you to quickly reconnect and come back on the same subject from where you stopped. But then we see a lot of chaos brewing in Yaoundé over who truly won the election, and observers across the southern Cameroons see a familiar pattern unfolding, one that exposes the contradictions of La République du Cameroon's colonial political order. Now let's bring back to memory. In 2018, during another tense post-election period, René Sadi, then Minister of Territorial Administration, maintained a notably calm posture, while Issa Tchiroma, then Minister of Communication, barked the regime's defense with relentless zeal. Today, the tables have turned. Atanga Ng, now the Colonial Minister of Territorial Administration, has taken over the barking baton, railing against what he calls political imposture. Meanwhile, Tchiroma, once the loudest defender of the Biya regime, now finds himself on the opposite side of the fence, accused of the same manipulations he once justified. While we see that even as another campaign candidate talked about not being able to speak while being in power in La République, to Ambazonians, this cyclical irony is no surprise. It is the predictable dance of a collapsing colonial state whose leaders rotate roles between oppressor and victim, depending on whose turn it is to serve the system. Political analysts know that the CPDM has long mastered the art of preconditioning its ministers to play the dirty public game, as has been brought into the newsroom with confessions from their staffs. While the loud ones are taxed to defend the regime in the open, barking loudly to divert attention, while the quiet ones remain behind the scenes, securing privileges and protections. But then history, it seems, is not kind to those who bark too loudly. From the days of Amadou Ali to the spectacle of Fami Ndogo and Atanga Ng, many who became the regime's mouthpiece eventually fell out of favor once their usefulness expired. It is poetic justice, as people in Ambazonia would deem it. The man who once defended every abuse of power now faces the wrath of the same system that he once served. Well, some Ambazonian commentators have even jested that perhaps it is time to advocate justice for Atanga Ng, which is a jab at the irony of seeing yesterday's enforcers become today's casualties. For many in Ambazonia, these events reaffirm a long-standing truth. The colonial house in Yaoundé is built on deception, and every now and then it devours its own. But then as the world watches the unfolding crisis in French Cameroon, Ambazonians see not as democracy at work, but as evidence of the internal rot they have long denounced, a system where elections are rituals of confusion and where the so-called republic remains chained to its own contradictions. From Yaoundé's post-election uproar to Condégué's defiant voices, one thing is clear: the political architecture of La République du Cameroon is cracking under the weight of its own hypocrisy. While Issa Tchiroma celebrates his divine victory and the CPDM fumes over political imposture, the people of Ambazonia stand vindicated in their belief that true freedom cannot emerge from a fraudulent colonial structure. Well, Barrister Mbeseha, I want to believe that your connectivity is back and active. I'd like to get your thoughts from where you started off on Atanga Ng's zeal about arresting Issa Tchiroma.
Yeah, I was trying to say that, in this fast-moving circle, there are something that are news, and in 30 minutes, it's no longer news. And I was referring to what Mba Akuro wrote there. Mba Akuro published that thing on Saturday or Friday before the elections on Sunday. And what was the goal? It was to show, because everybody had been clamoring for unity, let everybody join one camp and defeat the enemy. Whether Buba Bello, whether Cabral Libya and those people named by Mba Akuro took money or not, they kept to the bargain. They never joined in any alliance with Issa Tchiroma, pay or for not pay. And so that is Accept that without the alliance that somebody was paying $1 billion for, it worked. They didn't make the alliance, but nonetheless, the candidate that they were supposed to ally with won without strength of the candidate if he finally becomes the winner. Fast forward to what Atanganji is doing. See, I don't know whether Atanganji understands politics. Politics is a game of interests, and the game of interest based essentially on experience. In terms of experience, Atanganji has almost no experience compared to Issa Tchiroma. Neither does he have anything compared to Buba Bello. These people have been in government of Pobia for more than 20, 30 years. To the best of my knowledge, if I became a minister, it was never before 2019, 2018. For just 7 years. He doesn't know how to work in the system. Or strategizing like an intellectual. Is Akanji any of them? Certainly not. Is barking like a dog, threatening to catch people and lock them up left and right. A right foot strategy in these set of circumstances? I don't think it is. I think it is a question of time. Atanganji will soon learn that what he's saying, which is so insidious, we just watch as farmer don't put something to what some
I'm not hearing one word.
Barrister Mbeseha, it's really sad that we really want to get all of what you're saying, but the connectivity seems to be a challenge tonight. But due to time, we're just going to cut it short here. We're going to cut it short here. Barrister Fru would like to know if you have any last few words for tonight with regards to all the chaos going on post-election tensions with La République's upcoming results.
You see, the marked difference between what happened in 1992 and what is happening now. In 1992, they caught Frunde and put him under house arrest and encircled him, and he could not move. But Garwa, with the help of the population, they were attempting to arrest Tchiroma to take him to Yaoundé. But the population came out like one man and fought to hell and rescued Issa Tchiroma and took him to a security place. Look, they cannot arrest Issa Tchiroma in Garwa. The people of the north have already shown what is going to happen if this regime touches those results. That is a very good signal for the regime to know that the population of Cameroon is going to fight, starting from the north, because they cannot arrest about twice since Sunday. Atanganji has attempted to arrest, to send gendarmes and military to arrest Issa Tchiroma, but it has not worked. Now, let me ask a question. Why is Atanganji taking the place of the Minister of Communication? The Minister of Communication of that Bias government that I know is René Sadi Emmanuel. Where is he? What is he saying? Nothing. Because they know that they have lost the election. Atanganji comes with the heart of a bandit that he is, with the bravery of a thief that he is, and is threatening to arrest people. Look at what happened in Garwa. Why can he not go to Garwa? Why can they not arrest anybody in Garwa? Let's see how there will be no civil war in La République du Cameroun. Because it is what is happening in Garwa, what may happen in Garwa if they attempt to arrest Issa Tchiroma will spark It will be a spark for civil war in Cameroon. The message has gone. Atanganji can make noise. Like Barrister Mbeseha says, there are some news items that they end only in 1 hour. Atanganji can make noise and his noise is not yielding any fruits. Issa Tchiroma has given, he has spoken to the press about the results. He has made the world know the results. He has sent the results all over the world. And the Minister of Communication for Mr. René Emmanuel Sadi has not said one word. The only person talking for the regime is Paul Njatanga. And today, the so-called Minister of Higher Education, Pami Dongo, who is also the communication secretary for their party, has joined to say that the figures have been fabricated. What a mess. They are panicking. They don't know what to do. They think that they have 2 weeks to fraudulently announce correct results. But the world already knows who the winner of this election is. And it is going to be very difficult for them, given what the present day technology, given the way the press and everybody, the international press, the local press, everybody has a hold on those results. How are they going to do it? And give it to whom? Look at what CRTV has just produced. CRTV has just given the results to Issa Tchiroma. But for some reason, it disappeared on their screen. So you see, Bia is not even second. It's Kabar Libi or Bele Buba. And talking about Bele Buba, I want to inform Ambazonians that Bele Buba is a sheep. It's a sheepish idiot. Do you know that all his militants in the north have voted for Issa Tchiroma? Look at the results of Marwa, Garwa, and Gaundere. Bele Buba has performed so poorly that nobody can even mention him anywhere. If he has any results, they are coming from somewhere else, not from the north. So what has happened? By reason of the solidarity that exists among the people of the north, they have all voted for Issa Tchiroma. So Bele Buba has now the power to congratulate Issa Tchiroma. Cabral Libi has congratulated Issa Tchiroma. The one Gaxon has congratulated Issa Tchiroma. Those are candidates. The so-called Akeremona has congratulated Issa Tchiroma. So it's done. The whole thing is done. Pami Ndongo can say whatever he wants to say. But there is going to be a fight, Star. There's going to be a fight if they change those results. No sound.
Oh, all right, Barrister Fru, you've indeed made that point clear, and truly with all of the video evidences and the reaction of the people, especially the people in La République where Issa Tchiroma has been, they show this enthusiasm and desire to protect him, and they're not ready to accept the continuous fraud going on with La République elections. And that has been made clear, and we're only watching and waiting for the days ahead, the weeks ahead, for when they're finally done with collating these results to see who exactly they will call and if it has any corruption in it or it's void of that. But until then, it's been amazing having you on the show today, Barrister Fru and Barrister Mbeseha. It's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. Well, thank you very much. We'll head on to the news across Africa. On the African scene, we see political tensions in Madagascar, which have escalated sharply after President Andry Rajoelina fled the country on Sunday aboard a French military aircraft. Amid mounting pressure, public protests, and growing defections within the armed forces. Student-led demonstrations have intensified in recent days, with protesters demanding Rajoelina's resignation. We want him to step down, but he keeps pretending there are still people who want him to stay, said Mary Jo, a student protester, in an interview with Africa News. Rajoelina resurfaced via a video broadcast on social media on Monday night, stating that he had left for a safe place due to threats against his life. His exact location remains undisclosed. In a surprising development, Rajoelina announced the dissolution of key state institutions, claiming he had consulted with leaders of both the National Assembly and the Senate. However, legal experts have raised questions about the legitimacy of the move, as no formal confirmation from parliamentary bodies has been issued. Now, despite the deepening crisis, Rajoelina has ruled out resignation. The situation reached a turning point this week when factions of the Malagasy army reportedly joined the anti-government protests, signaling a possible shift in power dynamics and increasing fears of a coup. While the unfolding events mark one of the most serious political crises in Madagascar in recent years, raising concerns amongst international observers about the country's stability. Meanwhile, a Kenyan court has granted police 14 days to detain a man accused of fatally stabbing a security guard outside the State House, the official residence of the president, in what is being viewed as a serious security breach. The incident occurred on Monday when the suspect, reportedly disguised as a homeless person, approached the main gate and attacked the guard using a bow and arrow. The officer was rushed to the hospital but was pronounced dead shortly after. Now, during a court appearance on Tuesday, investigators requested additional time to conduct a mental health evaluation of the suspect, who allegedly claimed he had been sent by the devil. The man was arrested at the scene of the attack. The authorities are now probing both his mental state and the circumstances surrounding the breach of security at one of the country's most heavily guarded locations. With that, we head on to the foreign scene. The fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas faced renewed strain on Tuesday after Israel announced it would halve humanitarian aid deliveries into Gaza, citing delays in the return of diseased hostages, a move that could jeopardize the truce brokered under United States mediation. According to Israeli officials, the decision came after only 4 of the 28 expected bodies of hostages killed in captivity were returned by Hamas, prompting the Israeli military's Hostage Coordination Office to declare the delay a violation of the ceasefire terms. Information about the aid reduction was reportedly shared with the United States officials and international humanitarian agencies, though Israel's government has not issued an official statement. Now, the announcement came a day after the final group of 20 living hostages was freed from Gaza in exchange for the release of about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners under the ceasefire's first phase. The families of the deceased hostages expressed frustration at the slow pace of the returns. The Hostages Family Forum, which represents many affected families, condemned the delays as a blatant violation of the agreement by Hamas. Israel's coordinator for hostage affairs, Gal Hirsch, said pressure was being applied through international mediators to accelerate the process, according to a message verified by the Associated Press. In Gaza, the health ministry reported that 3 Palestinians were killed on Tuesday after Israeli troops opened fire in the north of the territory. The Israeli military said soldiers acted against a threat from several individuals who ignored orders to halt. Under the ceasefire terms, Israeli forces have withdrawn a pre-offensive position from August, but many damaged areas remain under Israeli control, with residents barred from returning to their homes. While Israel on Tuesday identified two of the deceased hostages returned from Gaza as Guy Luz, an Israeli citizen abducted from a music festival, and Bimpin Joshi, a Nepalese student. Both were taken during the October 7, 2023 Hamas-led assault that triggered the war. Israel said Luz died from untreated wounds in captivity, while Joshi was executed in the early months of the conflict. The ceasefire plan introduced by the United States President Donald Trump mandates that all hostages, living and deceased, be returned within 72 hours of the agreement's implementation. It also requires both sides to provide information on the remains of those who died in custody. Hamas and the International Committee of the Red Cross have cited the scale of destruction in Gaza as a major obstacle to recovering the bodies of deceased hostages. Freed Israeli hostages remain under medical supervision. Families report severe physical and psychological trauma after months of deprivation. In the West Bank, several released Palestinian detainees were hospitalized in Ramallah, where doctors said many bore signs of severe beatings. Israel's prison service denied the allegations, asserting that all inmates are treated according to legal procedures, unlike Israeli prisoners in Hamas. Well, in Gaza, Nasser Hospital confirmed receiving 45 bodies transferred by the Red Cross, the first of an expected 450 under the ceasefire terms. Now, while the release exchanges marked a major step towards de-escalation, questions persist over who will govern Gaza, how reconstruction will proceed, and whether Hamas will disarm. At a regional summit in Egypt on Monday, President Trump described the ceasefire as the first step towards peace, while Egyptian Foreign Minister Abdelati said 15 Palestinian technocrats had been selected to manage Gaza's administration with approval from both sides. The United Nations Development Program estimated that rebuilding Gaza will cost around $70 billion, with $20 billion needed within the first 3 years. According to Gaza's health ministry, more than 67,600 Palestinians have been killed since the war began, with women and children comprising about half of the casualties. And that was it on the Israel-Hamas ongoing status. But then the World Health Organization has issued an urgent warning over contaminated cough syrup manufactured in India after several children died. The deaths were reported, raising fresh concerns about pharmaceutical safety standards in the country's medicine industry. In a statement released on Tuesday, the World Health Organization said laboratory tests confirmed that samples of the cough syrup contained dangerously high levels of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol, toxic substances that can cause acute kidney failure and death when ingested. The contaminated product, reportedly distributed across several Indian states, has been linked to multiple child fatalities, though authorities have yet to disclose the exact number. World Health Organization officially have urged national health authorities to remove the affected batch from circulation immediately and strengthen post-market surveillance of locally manufactured drugs. Indian health regulators said investigations were underway to trace the source of contamination and identify whether the product was exported to other countries. Now, this marks the latest in a series of global alerts involving Indian-made cough syrups. Similar incidents in the Gambia, Uzbekistan, and Cameroon since 2022 have resulted in dozens of child deaths, prompting calls for stricter oversight of India's pharmaceutical exports, one of the world's largest. The World Health Organization said it would continue to work closely with India's Central Drug Standard Control Organization, the CDSCO, to ensure the withdrawal of all contaminated products and prevent any further casualties. With that, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight, bringing into the news untold stories. Before we go, let's take a quick look at the recap. On Undaunted tonight, we brought to you Ambazonia's 2-week lockdown coming to an end amid post-election tensions. Detained Ambazonian activist Ali hails awakening in La République du Cameroon as support mounts for Issa Tchiroma. Tchiroma's victory recognized amid CPDM outrage and claims of political imposture. On the African scene, we brought to you Madagascar in turmoil as president flees amid growing protests and military defections. And on the global scene, we saw Israel halving Gaza aid over delayed return of hostage bodies, testing fragile ceasefire. World Health Organization warning of contaminated cough syrup in India after multiple child deaths. And that was it for tonight's Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. On behalf of the entire Undaunted, we say thank you for tuning in. We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.